Okay guys, I got Dad's 2013 GMC 2500HD in the shop today. Going to be working on the back rack and getting it equipped with the lights I got from SpeedTech. So I showed you those in a video a little while back. Here's the back rack. This is a DZ back rack. I had one on one of my trucks. Really nice rack. It's got a groove in the center of it all the way down. That really makes it nice for customizing and placing lights and stuff wherever you want them. So it's a really cool rack, guys. It's aluminum, so it's super light. But anyway, I'm going to be putting those SpeedTech lights on this. We're going to be doing a strobe in the center and then some work lights off to the side. I'll show you what I have in a second here. But getting Dad's truck ready for a snow plow. Give you a sneak peek, I guess. My old plow, we got to do a little bit of work to this thing. I ain't going to put it on his truck looking like this. This thing's been sitting, I think, for 2 years, so needs a little bit of work. We just got the mounts, plow mounts, so I'm going to be doing an install on that. I took the wiring harness off his old truck, plow harness, so I'm going to try to adapt that to this. I'll be doing a video on that too later. But I'll show you the lights here that we're going to get on this back rack. So here's the lights that are going on Dad's truck. Like I said, I did a video. If you want a better in-depth video on this stuff, check that video out. This is the SpeedTech 21-inch K-Force Micro light bar in linear. So I think that's going to work out real nice on the rack there. And then we've got 4 of SpeedTech lights. These are the Carbine 140s. So we're going to have 4 of these, 2 on each side. I think we've got a plan on what we want to do, and depending on how it works out, we'll have to go out and actually use them and aim them and everything. But I think we got a plan of where we want these to go. So I got to get this light bar prepped for installation. So I just installed these mounting brackets from SpeedTech. You can get them as an option for your light bar. These will work on the regular size light bar and the micro light bar like I have here. Anyway, they come with magnetic feet that are bolted on here. All you got to do is unbolt them and then bolt your brackets on in place of those. I keep in mind though, they got drain holes here. I believe that's what these are. So you want to line your brackets up with those drain holes, so your light bar can drain. I believe this cover is made to drain, so you don't want to block those. But we're gonna mock it up there and kind of see what we need to do. So we just mocked the light bar up in place. I was gonna just bolt it down right here to the groove here. But on this rack, Dad's got this really nice weather guard toolbox, and it's a one-piece lid, and the lid comes up and it pretty much comes straight up, so you can't have anything sticking on this side of this rack. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to make a little bracket that I'm going to bolt on to here that's going to come out, so I can move the light bar all the way this way so it's even with the back of this this rack. We could have just bolted it on, and then every time the lid come up, it would hit the light. I mean, if you really don't care, I guess you could just do that, but we really don't want something like that to happen. So I'm going to make a little bracket. Okay guys, so I got the light mocked up into place. I made some brackets. I made some brackets to move it forward 1.5 inches or something like that. And I just took some 1/4 inch thick flat stock. I think I made to a 2.5 inch piece. And then drilled a couple holes in it. Again, that's to move it forward so it is even with the back of the rack. So when the toolbox goes up, it doesn't hit it. So that's the whole reason for the little brackets I made. But anyway, I've got it approved by Dad, so I gotta pull this light off, paint those brackets so it don't rust. And then probably tomorrow I'll bolt it back on, we'll run some wires, get it working. Then we'll work on the 2 side work lights. I gotta go get some stainless bolts anyway. I don't really want to use regular bolts on the rack there, I don't want them to rust. So, and also I need to get a little bit shorter. We don't have quite that short a bolt, and I don't want a lot of bolts sticking out. So I gotta gather a few parts and continue on with this. For me it'll probably be a few days, for you it'll probably be a few seconds. So I guess I'll be back, guys. Okay guys, I got the light up there bolted down. And I just used the brackets, got them all painted up. So looks good there. Now I gotta figure out the wiring. And like I said before, when I showed this stuff when I got it, I got an extra 10-foot cord here. And the idea right now, I'm thinking I'm just gonna run it down along the back rack, down under the bed, under the cab, and then into the cab there. I haven't done too much wiring on this newer stuff, but I'll have to kind of figure it out as I go. I think I got a plan here. There's a boot right here, and this has always been a place I've gone in my older trucks, and I'm guessing I'm going to be able to go through there on these trucks, so on this generation. So I'm going to get to wiring. Probably not going to show you much of that because it's pretty boring, just wiring stuff. I'll show you what I do or what I get at the end. And if I can find anything that's helpful, I'll post it in the video. But just going to do some boring wiring. That means you know, just fastening it up, getting it out of the way, making some connections. I got to get a positive and a negative here because I just cut the cigarette plug off. So I got to get power and a negative. They want you to go straight to the battery with these, so it's probably what I'll do. But yeah, I'm going to get to getting this wire all situated, and I'll show you what I got. Okay guys, so I've been wiring away here, getting everything run, all the wires, and I've gotten to an issue here. I run all my wires through. You can see I brought the wire into the cab, plugged it into my controller, went to do a test before I buttoned everything up, and nothing would work. I scratched my head for quite a while trying to figure this out, but remember that extension cable that I got? It is wired wrong. These here are in the wrong pins. It's actually opposite of what it should be. The other end is wired right. This end here is wired correctly. But someone wired it the same way they wired this end, they wired that end. And you can't do that because when you plug things in, they got to be pretty much the opposite of what they are, if you know what I mean. Anyway, all these pins are in the wrong spot. I contacted Andrew at SpeedTech, and he's gonna overnight me a new harness, a new extension harness. He said these are really difficult to take out, these pins. I tried and I tried and I tried. I couldn't get them to come out. If I could see the pin outside before they put it in here, if I could see where the lock is at, I might have a better chance of getting them off. But he's just gonna overnight me one. I'll have one today, I think. So we're just gonna do that, I guess. So I'm waiting on that right now. So that brings me up to a really good tip when you're doing stuff like this, guys. Always bench test something like this, especially lights. You want to bench test those. Now I bench tested the light and the original harness that came with it, and that all works fine. I didn't bench test that extension harness, and I should have. Always do that, guys. Get yourself a battery, a small battery or whatever, hook it up, or plug it into your cigarette lighter, and just test everything to make sure everything's working right. Mistakes happen, things get overlooked, guys. Like I said, I contacted Andrew at SpeedTech. He's gonna fix the problem. So it's always better to find the problem before you start wiring stuff, guys, because now I'm backtracking and everything. So okay, just got my new extension harness, and you can see the one on the left is the wrong harness, and the one on the right is the right harness. You can see it's completely opposite of what it should have been. So I got this one out, got it pulled out, now I got to run the new one in, and it shouldn't be long, and I should have this light all buttoned up. We have success, guys. It is on and working just fine with that new harness. You see it's on, and that is super bright. Okay, so now I can do what I was going to do before. I gotta button up everything, all my loose wires under the truck in the engine bay. I gotta figure out where I'm gonna stick this. I gotta see what Dad has to say. I don't know where he wants it, probably on the other side, in the middle somewhere. And we'll get that figured out. But first I'm gonna button everything up, then we'll figure out what we're doing in the cab here. Okay guys, I got it all wrapped up. You can see I put the remote right here. It's the ashtrays right here, and there's a little indentation, and I stuck it in there. So it's just stuck on there right now. I didn't screw it in. I got to get Dad's okay if he wants it there or not. It can pretty much go anywhere. I got enough cord that it can go anywhere on the dash. If you wanted to go like up here, you might actually need some more length. But pretty much anywhere in the dash, it's got enough to go there. And you can see it's on. Now one thing I did add, because Andrew sent me this grand control box that has the auxiliary button, so I can control another set of lights. I think it's 5 amps or something it'll control another light. So I ended up putting those Z3s and TIR that he sent me. I got them right there. I got one on each side. Reason I'm doing that is because we're going to be putting work lights up here. I'll do that in a second. But I'm going to put some work lights up here. And this one here might get blocked a little bit by the light. So I figured why not? I had them. Let's add them on there. So I've got one right there, and I've got one over here. So we'll see what Dad thinks about these. I think they're going to work out okay there. They are angled up a slight bit, but I don't think it's going to matter. One reason I want some good side light is because most of the time when you're plowing like a driveway or something, this is the view everybody sees of your truck. So good side light is always a good thing. A lot of people, or most people, don't see you from this way. I mean, that thing is putting off some light, but if they're not back here, they won't see that. So I just added that. I had them. I was waiting on some wiring, so I put some there. I'd like to maybe possibly put some in the same position on my truck, but we'll see. Maybe I'll get some linear ones and give that a try. But I'm happy with that, guys. I got everything pretty much tidied up, all the wiring. So now I got to work on these work lights that I'm going to add. These Carbine. So I'm going to get these mounted up. I got to put a plug. I got a plug for these so I can unplug them. If we ever got to take off the back rack or anything, I'm going to put a nice weatherproof plug-in on all the lights. Once I do that, I can actually get them mounted. So I'm going to get to that, guys. Okay, so one thing I'm going to show you here is what I got. I've got these connectors here. They're going to go on the lights. These are weatherproof connector. They call them like a DT connector, or I will give you links on all these, all the parts that I use, guys. I'll link it like I usually do. But these go together really good, and they come apart real easy, and they're weatherproof. They got a gasket in here, so I just got to put one end here on the light, and then a one end here on the harness that I'm sending the power from, and I'll be able to unplug these lights and plug it back in. So that's what I went with. Okay, so I got the work lights mounted into place, and I actually have to wait for Dad to okay the position of these. I think that's what he wants. That's what we talked about with these lights, but I want to make sure because I'm probably not going to have too much extra in the harness that I make. So these have to, I mean, you'll be able to move them a little bit, but I don't really want extra wiring harness there. So that's kind of the idea of the work lights that we're going to put up there. So once I get approval, I'm going to have to start making a harness for these. I think I'm going to control each side separately, so he can turn on one side or the other side depending on what he needs. So that will help, I think. So here's the harness that I'm going to use and adapt to what I need. It's just something I got off Amazon. I actually used one of these for one of my Rangers, so it's just easier for me to start with something and then modify it to what I need. But this will control two DLs, two lights, so right and left, and this should work out for what I need. Those lights don't draw a whole lot, so you don't need real thick wires. I think these are 16 gauge on here, should be plenty for that. The wires that are on the lights are super small, so it apparently don't draw much power. So there we go, guys. Got her all wired up. Everything's buttoned up, and it's hard to hide all the wires when you add so many lights, guys. I did the best I could without making like a custom rack like I did, and then I run all the wires inside the rack. But I do like this rack. This is a nice rack by DZ. It's just you can't hide the wires real good. But I run them up there nicely, zip tied them up pretty good, loomed my wires, so I don't think it looks too bad. You know, sometimes you got to have functionality over looks. But it's all wired up. I'll show you the controls here. I already showed you the controller for the strobe. It's right there in the cigarette tray or the ashtray door in that indentation. Then I added these, which are really cool. They're actually old KC switches that my dad had. I believe on like a 70s Dodge or something. That's right, my dad was a Dodge guy back in the day. He switched over to GM, he said, because of the ride was better. So he's been a GM guy for a long, long time. Anyway, he had these KC light switches, so I added them to his truck here. When you turn them on, they light up. And we've got left and right side, so each one controls a different side. So I thought that was a pretty good spot for it. And you can see, guys, these are bright. So I'll try to maybe get some outside footage of these so you can kind of see what's going on, but they are bright. So that's how I got these lights all hooked up. Turn on the strobe, the auxiliary strobes. So I guess, guys, that's going to do it for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. And I guess I will see you.